I didn't see it.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Between the Thin Blue Line. I am one of your hosts or co-hosts, Juan Cloy.
And I'm Ernest Perry. How y'all doing this evening?
So, Ernest,
What we got going on, brother?
and we got a few things to talk about. Every week, I say we have a lot of stuff to talk about, but I'm going to say this. I think that we need to be careful of what we choose and what we say because we have um, we have we need to stay focused on what the show is about, number one, and number two, we need to just kind of bridge the gap between the people and the police, and we need to let them know that certain things that the police do are just not okay, right? And one of the things I wrote down was I was going to stop saying right because I
Right.
say right a lot. So when I start saying right, either I owe you $1 or something.
I'll take that.
I bet
That
you will.
sound
I
that
bet you'll
sound
take
good,
that.
dude. What is the job?
So, uh, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk about, first of all, this situation with the Louisiana State Police Department and a gentleman that was killed in 2018, apparently by the police, whether it was intentional or whether it was by accident. I'm inclined to believe it possibly was by accident, overuse of force. If you haven't seen the video, I don't see anybody on here now. I see three people watching. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go ahead and play this video. I'm gonna share my screen with you. So this is the portion where apparently this was not authorized by the Louisiana State Police Department. This portion of the video, but they have since opened. They have since sent the entire video. So you can, if you want to see every officer's camera, body cam view, you can log into just put in Louisiana State Police releases um, body cam video of Ronald Green, and it literally pulls up about 7 or 8 officers from when they're in the car, from when they're actually apprehending him, from when they're chasing him, and so you get to see the full spectrum, the 360-degree full spectrum of what actually happened that night. And if you don't know, they said that Mr. Green died in a car crash. You familiar with this, right? No.
Oh,
Well, okay then. So if you don't
I'll watch
know,
it first time.
then this guy who's a retired police officer who don't apparently watch TV, he doesn't know, but he's gonna get to see it just like you do if you have not seen this video. So I'm gonna share my screen with you, and let's pull this video up and let's watch it.
Year-old man died in police custody after leading police on a chase. We finally have our first look at what happened that night.
Well, some will see it as maybe closure for the family. State police still do not want you to see the video, calling it even 2 years later premature. We do want to warn you, though, that parts of it are graphic. Here's our lead investigator, Scotty Hunter.
The chaos breaks out as soon as officers corner Ronald Green at the tail end of a traffic stop. As officers begin yelling at him, the first thing Green says is he's scared.
I'm scared. I'm scared.
After an officer wrestles Green to the ground, at least 2 of the officers can be heard cursing at him, and one of them hits him with the stun gun.
Let me see your hands. Put your hands behind your back. Give me your hands. Put your hands behind your back. Taser.
So let me do this because apparently this didn't share properly. So I'm going to start this over. I'm sorry. And we won't go to this portion here, but I want you to actually see the video. So let's go. So now you get to see this whole video here. So they said it was premature to release the videotape. Listen, the videotape was already out, and although they couldn't hear, okay. Well, let me explain this thing. Louisiana State police officers or highway patrol officers, apparently some of them had a car chase, and in the chase in 2018, they apprehended this individual, Robert Green, and during the apprehension, he was gravely injured. They tased him, they hit him a number of times, and somewhere along the way, that's it's still unclear right now, he succumbed to his injuries. From the video, it did not appear that he was that injured when they stopped him or when he crashed. I'm unsure right now if he crashed, but what they said was that he died during the crash. So he had an accident and he died. Not he. They took him into custody, and so this went on for a little over two and a half years. And I don't know how it came out, but it's come out now that it was this big cover up. So my problem with this is it's an obvious problem. Everybody has the same problem with it, which is the young man died while in police custody and the police lied.
Okay.
But my biggest problem with this now, that's past tense. Okay. So if you have some folks in your department that are corrupt, I get it. I get it. But my biggest problem with this is after you found that out and you still drug your feet with releasing the whole videotape. That's where I have a problem with that.
Right.
Because whether it took you 24 hours or 48, whether you needed to sit up all night long with a team of investigators in one room to look at these tapes over and over again to say, okay, let's release this thing in 24 hours.
Right.
But to let this thing go on and on and on and on, it went on for I believe it went on for a while. And so the same thing with another gentleman that was shot and killed. So as I know police agencies, we say things that we need to do. We need time. We need to take time to do certain things, but there's an issue of trust in that. So we've already messed up one with the killing of the young man, and then two with covering up.
Right.
But now we're gonna say, oh, we need to take extra time because we need to make sure all our ducks in a row. I get that part. I get that part. But and we're going to talk about trust and what police can do today. What police can do, what they should be doing from day one. So if you live in a city or town where you don't trust your police or it's a high crime area, then I think this would be a good show for you to watch tonight. So since you've never seen the video and you didn't know about this,
No.
What do you think about that?
According to what I'm hearing or what I saw, the accident didn't seem to have any impact on his mobility. I don't think the accident. And the fact that it's been a year or more, right?
Mm-hmm. It happened in 2018.
Yeah. And it's just not coming out. The videos are just coming out. That's what really disgusts me more so than anything. Because the officer, the police department had access to the video that night. Investigators could have stayed there all night long and could figure it out just like we just watched it. It just tells me, and I'm speaking of Louisiana now, the systemic cover up, the whole system, it seems like it's corrupt. Because you only have 2 officers involved, but when you wait this long to do something or release it, or what was the outcome of the officer? Was it good shoot, bad shoot?
Well, they said he died as a result of.
So the officer was.
No, they just.
It
I
wasn't
guess
no
I'm
investigation.
assuming that they kept on since they said he died as a result of the accident.
So
so they just went on about their business.
That's the whole system.
Yeah,
that's the whole Louisiana state troopers.
Now, I'm unclear who knew about this, but I believe it was some folks in command. But again,
an officer can't destroy or delete a video, right?
No,
we shouldn't be able to do that.
No. So either nobody looked at the video, which from a chase, they should have looked at the video, but I'm unclear. I'm totally unclear as to what. I'm unclear as to what happened. I'm unclear as to what happened.
Right. It's a lot. There's a lot unknown right now. It's a lot of unknowns.
Right. But it's for us.
As far as what I seen.
Right. It's a lot unknown for us, but due to public trust, you can't do a regular investigation. You have to step it up. This is 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Right.
This is something that should be done. If I had to call in an officer in the middle of the night at 2:00 in the morning, he's coming in, because now we're creating this huge issue, and which leads to civil uprisings and folks marching.
Well, you got to remember now. Let's step back 1 second.
Okay.
Because this was 2018. This was before George Floyd.
This was before George Floyd.
And unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, after the George Floyd slam, whatever you want to call it, the mindset and the outlook of police officers has changed dramatically, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But prior to that, we may see a lot more of this type of stuff come up now, because prior to the George Floyd, if you follow me, a lot was swept under the rug.
Well, you had Philando Castile that happened prior to George Floyd.
Yeah.
And you had several other shootings. It's still, for me, it's still unclear what the deal was with the Michael Brown incident. But
the guy that got shot in the back, the Michael Brown guy, that's Michael Brown.
I don't even know.
He was running and the officer shot him in the back.
No, it was him and another guy. No, you're talking about the gentleman in South Carolina.
Yeah,
that was blatantly clear what happened with that. But unfortunately, the Michael Brown incident, we didn't have body cam. He didn't have a body cam.
So a lot have changed. I think it's better as far as the blatant racism or the blatant abuse, if you will. I wouldn't say better, but it has been forcefully gotten better since George Floyd. But before George Floyd, it was probably.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this, since we're talking about body cams. Would you have wanted to work with a body cam on you?
Yeah, I wouldn't have mind. I didn't.
Would you have wanted to work with a body cam on you?
Yes, I would have. Not narcotics. Patrol.
Do I need to ask you this question? Okay. Turn the camera off. Because I'm
with this
right
real,
now,
this
I
real.
don't want to work with a body cam on. I would not have wanted to work
on patrol. I think it's for our safety.
Patrol.
Too. Yes.
Yeah.
Because I was one of the first when I was in the police department and over the vehicle management, and we was one of the first ones to install the car cameras. And the trigger was your blue lights. When you turn your blue lights on, the camera will come on. And I thought it was a super idea because, in the past, there's police officers being left on side the road, on the street. And nobody, from a traffic stop. And last thing they know was dispatch them out with tag number and come out to be a stolen car, and that officer dead. So the cameras kind of protect the officers. In a sense, that's the way I looked at it.
So why would you not want a body cam on in narcotics when you were in narcotics?
I just don't want people to see some of the things that, my family and my wife see some of the things that narcotic agents go through. They couldn't even sleep at night. Some of the stuff we went through, some of the houses we went in, and some of the people we approach. I just don't think that would be.
And so
suitable.
So it's a different world. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
It's a different world.
It's a different world.
And the people need to understand that these are different people. It's like your uncle could be a great guy, but when your uncle's in the crack house or shooting up meth, he's not a great guy.
Right.
And so those are the people that we deal with.
Right. And a lot of our operation was covert, so we don't want to expose informants and I worked undercover and you worked undercover. So a lot of stuff was kind of covert. So, body cam
So what about when you went on search
warrants?
When we did search warrants, would you want body cam then?
Search warrants were okay with body cam. I think body cam's okay with search warrant. I think, me, I was stickler about reports. So it would allow me to go back and watch the camera to kind of critique my report.
Right.
To make sure that I'm putting everything, because when you do a report, you say up on entry, your report start right there, right? So if I was able to see it, or replay it, it would be more. I think it would be more direct, firm, correct.
So, do you think that But so at the end of the shift, they're supposed to. Everybody's camera doesn't get looked at all the time, and
No.
at the end of the shift, you may be able to. I guess it should be a
If there's an incident.
right.
Okay.
And so what I'm going back to is this: there was an incident.
Right.
Somebody passed. Who looked at the camera?
Somebody should have been looking at that camera thoroughly.
And
I mean, all night. I mean, you should have people from outside
because they had a lot of
the
cameras.
state investigators.
If you go online and you just put that in,
so it's more than those two officers.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of camera angles too. So you got a car angle, right, where you're in the car. Then you got out of the car, and then you got the actual chase, the actual apprehension.
Right.
You can hear them really good. So, and I hate. I wouldn't ordinarily Monday morning quarterback because man,
police. I hate it.
When your blood pressure's up and the blue lights and the sirens. We just had a chase a couple of days ago, and man, I was like, I always say I'm not chasing anybody, but to help. I feel bad if somebody got hurt on both sides, and I just was like sitting at Wendy's eating a Frosty, and then after we caught the guy. To see what the guy had, I was like, oh, it was pretty bad.
Right.
Like bad. And but
that incident came out without incident.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So but say for instance that same chase that you was in, if that suspect came up deceased. I think for your protection,
right.
Even if you wasn't there, or somebody say, "Well, Detective Claw, Investigator Claw was there." No, you look at the camera. I wasn't there.
But we had an incident like that. He didn't end up deceased, but we went back and we just started writing folks' names. We was like,
but see, that I used to do that too because that would help you out. Because we didn't have cameras, so you talking about the more eyewitnesses, is the better for you if what you're saying is true. It's bad for you if you're lying, but if you're telling the truth, so the camera is just like eyewitnesses. So I think it give a more now, mind you, now when you get to click and back up and rewind a camera, it's not like in real time.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you, it's not like in real time. So. The judges or investigators, whoever doing it, can insert. They got time to insert your thoughts,
and
it's impossible to insert a thought process.
And I'm glad you brought that up because we're sitting at home watching the video, and so you're hearing the sirens, and your heart rate is not going to go up from hearing sirens.
Right.
Even if he's driving 900 miles an hour.
Right.
Your heart rate doesn't go up if somebody's chasing. So we're trying to get you to understand that it's another level to this. It's not as simple as you would even think. It's not even close. It's not even close. And when you get in those situations, the only thing that can help you with that is repetition and training. Training. That can help you bring your heart rate down. That can help you increase your breathing. So you can bring your heart rate down and think more clearly. And so when your department does not train, then you are at risk for any and everything. And so that leads me into what the police can do, right? And so we have some points here, some bullets that we're going to talk about, and these are just a few. It's more than a few, but to me, it's a few. So first of all, the police set the tone. So let me just clear the air for you all. So do not ever listen to anybody that says the police can't do anything about crime. That is the biggest fallacy, period. That is so untrue. That is so untrue. Conversely, my statement would be, okay, take away all the police. If the police can't do anything about crime, all right, take away all the police. And what do you think you'll have?
Total chaos.
Right.
You have somebody trying to police.
You have somebody trying to police. Exactly. Now it may not be with a
protect
badge
their
and a
own
gun.
or protect
Right.
whatever. Everybody
Right.
have, and it's already wild west out there
Right.
for real. So,
but that's a good statement.
But
that's a great statement.
But somebody will step up.
So right now, at least in our city, we don't have hardly any police, and you can see if you go to any major intersection, people run red lights. They do whatever they want to do. So why aren't we trying to police now then? Not the police, but the police, the people that say we don't need police.
I got you.
Because there are a whole lot of people out there that say we don't need the police. That's fine. That's a great statement. But I don't see you out there. We don't see you out there. It's great to say we don't need the police, but you need to be out there, right? You need to be out there.
Right.
So the police, number one, set the tone. Somebody's got to set the tone. Set the tone.
Right.
Whatever tone that is, right? I said it right again. Oh, yeah, Doc. And then you're going to just keep marking it down.
Oh, this being recorded, right? Like the body cam.
This is being
so
recorded.
I can go back.
You can go back
and
rewind.
Just like the body cam, and we
Yes,
can investigate, and I can see how much money you owe me, right?
Yes.
Okay, I don't need to take this. So we're gonna go back and do body cam.
Anyway,
go ahead.
So the police, number one job is to develop trust in the community. That's the number one job.
Okay.
It's not to protect the community, at least in my eyes. Could be wrong. We could debate this, right? If you want to debate it, but to develop
you said
trust,
not to protect the community.
It's to develop trust first.
I guess they go hand in hand. Okay.
Right, they go hand in hand because I can't protect you if you don't trust me. Remember, I gave you the Superman analogy when we first came on. When I was training, when I used to do my training. When I do my training, I say, imagine you're Superman and there's a building on fire, and the building is 90 stories high, and you fly to the top of the building, and there's people screaming and yelling, "Help! Help! Help!" And when you get to the top of the building and you reach your hand out, they retract their hands. So you're there to protect them and help them, but guess what? They don't trust you.
Right.
So they retract their hands.
So you can't help them.
So you can't help
you. Okay, we got it. So develop the trust.
Develop trust.
How do we do that?
How do you develop trust? That's a good question.
How do we develop trust? The same way you develop trust with your friends or your spouse or your
What way is that?
Employee.
Okay, and what way is that?
By I'm trying to think of the right word. Merely by honesty.
By being honest.
Do what you say and say what you're going to do.
So don't be like Louisiana State Police.
No. You can't develop trust like that. You have to do what you say and say what you're going to do. First, they have to see it.
Mm-hmm.
They have to see it. You know, it's almost like I had a wild cow. Okay, and you know I'm gonna I would make an analogy of a farm country analogy a lot when we doing these things. You know that don't. Because I'm just as country as a okra sandwich. But anyway, I had a cow that was wild. He wouldn't eat. He wouldn't drink no water. He wouldn't come up close to you or nothing. In order for me to make that cow know that I'm not going to hurt him, guess what I had to do? Cut the food off till he got hungry. When he got hungry, and hang with me now, I'm going somewhere. When he got hungry, he forgot about his fears, in a sense. So I put a little bit out there in my hand. He come smell it. He run back. He come, but his hunger overweighed his fears, right? So eventually, I had him eating out of my hand, right? Now, I think Jackson is hungry right now. Okay, so what an officer is going to have to do is prove to Jackson that they are trustworthy. You can trust me. Well, how am I do that? Feed them out their hand. Go buy talk with them without hollering and screaming and somebody going to jail tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Let them know that I am a real person. I hurt, I cry, I laugh. And it's funny because I go back and watch church on YouTube. And I was just watching, of course, our service and Pastor Weeks. And but just before I came here, well, a little before I came here because I was asleep just before I came here.
Mm-hmm.
But but a little before I came here, I was watching another pastor, and he said that, and I'm speaking as Christian or so-called Christian. We want to be so high and holy than thou. We tend to forget the things that we used to do.
Mm-hmm.
We make it seem like it's wrong to listen to rap music or something like that. Like, okay, what's
So we kill the communication.
we kill the communication. We kill the communication. We have to let them know, look, I like rap too. I just happen to like Jesus a little better today
Right.
than I do rap. So, and I said that to say this. The community policing, I know it's an old cliche, community policing. You're going to have to go out there and get in the community and let the community know that, look, I love you and I want to do better. And that's how you build that trust. That's how you become familiar. Now, there's going to be some people you're going to have to put in jail. There's going to be some people you're going to have to enforce. That's just the nature of the beast. But if you find a way to connect with that community, be the integrity of all that. If you find a way to connect, I think that way you can establish and develop trust within the community. Not I don't know if they do this on purpose or because they're short or what have you, moving people from beat to beat, from nobody get to develop any type of rapport with their beat anymore. Do they have beat integrity?
I don't think they have enough people.
It's because they don't have enough people.
Yeah.
I was talking to one of our friends the other day, Matt, and you know Matt, and he came up with a great idea about if there's some kind of way we can pass out cards, like progress cards, to the general public on a particular officer in that beat, their beat officer. Is this officer, is he nice? Is he okay? Or is he, you can develop and you kind of weed out those guys that is not getting it. And I thought that was great. They don't do that. Officer probably be against it, but I just revert back to when, I used to go and get prescription for older people on my beat. Go get grocery for them on my beat. You develop that trust. I don't think they allow you to do candy and all that kind of stuff for kids anymore because of the safety measure. But you'd be surprised the information that children will come and tell you. So it's a lot of work. I think there's a lot of work into it, but you got 8 hours a day.
It's rewarding work.
It's rewarding. It
Right.
is. It is. It is. So, and I don't want to stay on that too long, but I think that's how you would develop trust.
Okay.
You got off the grid talks with people, right? That you could go talk to them and don't have anything to do with policing. So
not even being in uniform.
You're right. You could go by off
police
duty.
Capacity.
Yeah. Or attend church in that community, or attend the bridge games or whatever going on, just to stop by.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Some barbecues
or what have you.
So let's say you go to a barbecue and you see some folks in the backyard smoking weed in their barbecue.
If you don't have a complaint, and that's one thing training come in at, that's what I'm saying. Police officers gonna have to stop being complainants. because the public is not having it no more. I'm sorry, they are not having it. The police gonna have to stop being complainants. If they are not disturbing the peace, if they're not complaining and bothering anybody else, and by the way, it took everything I had to turn my police off.
Okay. Last week,
The other night when we was out there passing these push cars, and I seen all this dope and these guns. It took everything I had, but the overall outcome was way greater than me calling a bunch of cops in there putting folks in jail. I really think so.
I do too.
So we're gonna have to stop being complainants on a lot of these situations, because this is not, that is not your house.
So you although they're breaking the law, when in Rome, you don't have to go smoke.
No, you don't smoke.
You just you're trying to build trust.
All you have to do is say,
you're trying to build trust.
Hey, you trying to build trust. Hey, look, I got to go because y'all doing something I don't do.
Right.
It's like going to a Christmas party and not inviting Jesus to his own birthday party. You know what I'm saying? So I finna go. Y'all have a good time. I just stopped by to say, hey, I'll talk to y'all tomorrow.
And so we're back to the laws. When people say to me, the law, well, they breaking the law. Well, slavery was a law. So
every law ain't right.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
So slavery was a law. Having alcohol was outlawed. They made it legal. So it's legal now. But marijuana is only legal in some states, which is, by the way, probably the most confusing thing to me in the world. Because if you work in Colorado, can you be a cop and smoke marijuana? Because it's legal in Colorado. It's so confusing.
I think because you still a cop is still governed by a lot of the federal laws, too, even a local.
I'm just confused. I'm totally confused.
It ain't that hard. Don't smoke. It's still illegal.
I'm not smoking. No, I'm
just saying. I'm just saying. I wish it was legal. That way, because, and we can talk about. That's another thing I want to talk about too, is in reference to how we approach these young kids and what their beliefs are and what they do. So we'll get down to that later, but. I think we're still on trust.
We're on trust, but even in the trust, so if you trust your dad, you love your dad. There are things that your dad won't put up with, right?
Right.
And so there's a list, I would say, of things that just should be at the top of police officers' list or police department list that we're not putting up with. And some of it is simple. Some of it is misdemeanor. Some of it can be really huge, like traffic. Traffic can be huge because for me, and I'm not a traffic person, I don't write tickets. I don't even have a ticket book.
And you hate working accident, don't you?
Oh my God. But traffic can be huge because you can hurt somebody.
Right.
And so I just saw right up the street at the intersection that everybody runs that red light. We saw a big accident yesterday. And so that's just the one that I saw. But everybody runs that red light. Blatantly runs. I'm talking like will go around you if you're sitting at the light and go through the light. And so these are things that are systemic with loosely or poorly policed cities. Now, I'm not saying...
But go, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
To make this point. So as an officer, how would you enforce? Because there's more than one person doing that. How would you enforce the traffic violation?
You have to, but this is not even as an officer. This is as a department is not being enforced.
Right.
This is not just as an officer.
Because you can't go and write everybody who a ticket that go around and run these lights at this particular time.
No, but you can make statements to make people stop doing it.
You can make a vast statement, a loud statement.
Have to be the example.
Well, somebody have to be the example, but when we're dealing with thugs, and when we do this in our gun class, when we're dealing with thugs and criminals, for the most, they are cowards, right?
Mm-hmm. So you're talking about people who You're not talking about regular people who just
I'm
carry a
talking
gun.
about I'm talking about
You're talking
regular
about people who
who would
24/7.
bluntly run a red light.
But that ain't thug or criminal all the time. That's just a dude
Okay,
running a red
but
light.
he a coward.
I don't even know if he's a coward.
Yeah, the reason why I say that, 'cause you did it before or something.
No,
Reason
I'm
why I
just
say
saying,
that-
you're talking about a red light.
I'm talking about a red light. Reason why I say a coward is because that person, believe it or not, don't want to be seen. He don't want you to record him doing that.
Mm-hmm.
You remember when we had the lights, the cameras on the lights and stuff, and which it wasn't bad, but the wrong person got the ticket and they had to get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. An officer can post up at that particular light that you're having this problem or stop sign. There goes your problem.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to run the stop sign in front of the officer.
Right.
Okay, the officer can't be there every day, all day. Okay, we understand that. But I guarantee you, besides Precinct 2, I don't think these officers roll 8 hours constantly. You can go back to that particular red light or alternate red light and sit there, put your lights on and do your report or wait on another call or what have you. You could eliminate half their problem not even getting out your car, not even writing a ticket, not even doing anything. Just by merely sitting there. Congregation at these stores where normally if you see 10 or 15 black guys at a store every night, we went over this analogy one time before. Eventually something gonna happen bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the officer just pull up and sit there with them. Just sit there. Don't get out your car. And you know what they're gonna say? Because I've seen it done. Now, I'm talking. Man, you've been on a long time.
Mm-hmm.
You can hear him. Hey, dog, let's leave, dog. Somebody get in trouble, man. I don't know what that officer there for.
Right.
Let's move. Problem solved. You don't have to get out. Y'all get off this corner. But those are the new ways you're gonna have to police. Now, when I first came on back way back in when we had them butane cars and stuff, all I have to do is drive up, and that diverse the crowd just move. I just drive up, the crowd move. Okay. My training also told me 3 or more individuals on the street corner constitute gang activity.
And legally in Mississippi, if you can, it's other areas you have to meet, but it is 3 or more people. It starts out at 3 or more people.
Right.
Right. Then you have to show structure, leadership,
So
and whatnot. But yeah, 97-44-3.
So this was my conversation to those guys. Hey, dog. Hey, man, y'all know y'all supposed to be in the corner. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a block. When I come back, y'all need to be gone. And I'm driving the block kind of slow, hoping they gone, because I don't want to do no report, right? Please let these folks be gone. So I'm driving real slow. By the time I get back, they gone. I say, shh, that was easy.
Right.
Now they are not leaving because they're not afraid of the police. They want that confrontation, right? Don't give it to what they want. Sit there in your car with your body cam, with your car cam on.
But do you think they want the confrontation from certain police officers or certain police entities?
I just think they are more street lawyers out there than there is criminals. So I just think they know their rights to the point where they are tired of their rights being violated, or they are tired of them thinking their rights are being violated, to the point where they're just not afraid of police anymore. They feel like if I'm in this corner, I'm not bothering nobody. You don't have a right. Go eat your chicken and drink it.
So we talking about afraid of the police and trust. So are you afraid of them, or do you just respect the police?
I think
so. Once we build
trust will let them know I'm not trying to violate your right. I'm just trying to keep the peace.
Right.
To make it better for you and make it better for me. Right now, I think they just don't trust the police. They just think the police is out to interrogate them because they are black, because they don't look like you want them to look, because their pants are down.
But if they don't trust the police and they don't trust each other, because it's very apparent that they don't trust each other. And I keep saying they.
All of them got guns.
Everybody got guns.
Okay.
So you don't trust each other. You don't have the guns for
Obviously,
the police.
you don't trust your partner.
Because the police not even around.
Right. Right.
And you have guns, so there's no trust for anybody. And because of this stuff here that happened to Mr. Green, that happened to Philando Castile, that happened to George Floyd, and we could go on, the trust is eroding away. And what makes this trust erode further away, for me at least, is how they seem to, there's certain, you can't say certain words. So you got to be careful of your optics. We talk about optics all the time. You can't say certain words if you're talking about somebody's life. It's not the policy of the Louisiana State Police to release. You don't say that. You don't say that. That's something you don't say. Get out the policy book, because you wasn't in the policy book when this gentleman ended up dead. So you can't jump back to the policy book.
Right.
You have to take a more human approach to this. This mother's son is dead, and it's not. And I shouldn't be on TV or on the news saying it's not the policy of the Louisiana State Police Department to release body video camera evidence until no. Her son is dead, and so there goes the trust again. And unfortunately for police departments across the country, even the ones that are trusted, they suffer from this kind of activity. And so we have a problem with, if I'm going to enforce open air drug dealing, or I'm going to enforce improper gun procedures or crime waves by doing hotspot, I'm going to have a problem with that. If I'm going to enforce youth crime issues, I'm going to have a problem because you don't trust me.
Right.
Domestic violence. One thing the police should never say about any domestic violence situation is there's nothing we can do. That just burns me up.
I know.
If I thought that there was nothing we can do, I wouldn't have been a police officer. I'd have been a banker. And so I'd have made me some money and went home, because I'd have thought that there was nothing. If you thought that there was nothing you could do, would you have literally gone out with a vest on, the boots, and a full set of BDUs, battle dress uniform, every day in August, in September, running and chasing folks and rolling on the ground with folks and talking to folks and trying to talk them out of doing this and into doing that?
Just
if you thought that there was nothing, I'm about to start cussing. Do I have a cuss jar? You got a cuss jar? You cannot stand on TV and say there's nothing you can. Here again, there's nothing we can do. We can't do. Okay, then let me ask you this question: why are you here? Why are you here? Just tell me. Why? If you can't cut my grass need cutting, and you pull up and your lawnmower broke down, and you just standing there staring at the lawnmower. Well, why are we still standing here?
You think I'm gonna hire you next week to come cut my grass when your mower broke?
Man, but the point is, I'm talking about Jackson. It's already the citizens are already apathetic, and we can't have our leaders saying that there's nothing we can do, because everybody just ends up. It's so bad. You just end up just sitting staring at a wall, because there's nothing you can do. The professional
but are they not
told you that there's nothing you can do.
When you was in academy and you got trained for domestic violence, domestic disturbance, they call it domestic disturbance, domestic violence, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the first things they told us, okay, first of all, that's one of the dangerous calls you can go on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Second of all, it's certain things that you have to do when you approach a man's or woman, particularly a man's house, right? Especially if he's having a debate with his children or his wife or whatever. And I say debate loosely. When he having a problem with his wife or his children, there's a certain way a police officer have to approach that house, right? We was trained for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the other side, if that man hear the chief of police or the mayor or the investigator or police officer comes and say, well, there's nothing we can do about domestic violence. You think that don't resonate with him in his house?
But watch this though. This is all tied in. If it's okay to shoot people and people shoot people here, this is what they do. Everybody carries a gun. So somebody that does have a domestic violence issue, they're going to carry a gun. And 2 blocks away from my house, a lady got killed a couple of days ago. Domestic violence. Domestic violence. A couple of days ago, domestic violence. So I don't want to know about no damn domestic violence. It's a lady that got killed.
Right.
That's what happened. That lady is dead. And you don't go to a different damn heaven or hell, I'm sorry, because you got killed from domestic violence. Domestic violence people, all y'all got killed, come to this side of the gate in the pearly gates. You're dead. So please, stop saying it was domestic violence. Somebody got killed. Somebody got killed. And please stop following it up with,
I mean, they have to say that. They have to say that because they trying to do, make it a motive.
Motive or make a crafting an excuse.
Well, you have to have most crimes. There's a reason behind a crime, right? So I don't think it's crafting. I don't think they that crafty.
If me and you got into it, would it be domestic violence? 2 friends.
And I shoot you and kill you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be domestic violence.
Am I dead?
Because we know each other. Opposed to somebody breaking into the house and shooting.
That's like the marijuana and the alcohol law. It's so confusing. I'm so confused.
No. That would be domestic violence. You don't have to have a intimate relationship with a person for domestic violence. All you got to do is know that person and associate with that person.
Am I dead?
You dead.
Okay.
You dead. It's a homicide. True enough, it's a homicide, but it had to be kind of categorized in a sense, so they can keep up with.
But it leads to it leads to helplessness. There's nothing we can do. We can't do nothing about the folks carrying the gun.
You can't say that because
we can't do nothing about nothing. So all this stuff we got here on this list, there's nothing we can do about any of it. We can't do nothing. I guess could we at least train our police officers? We can train them. That's one thing in any department. A well-trained police officer, a constantly trained police officer is a great police officer.
Right.
There are so many different ways for you to have programs at your police department. It is ridiculous. There's school violence right now, 2021 cops grants. There's school violence grants right now. School violence prevention grants right now that a police department can get. There's community policing development grants that a police department can get. There's even law enforcement mental health grants and this is for the cops to help the cops with their mental health.
I think they need it.
Right. Well, can you imagine working now when you look next to you? You're supposed to have 10 people in roll call. You only have 2.
Right.
And from what I'm hearing, these folks stressful. they don't even call in now.
It's worse than the military. I think mental health is a big issue.
Yeah. So they're
mental health alone
with
what's the other thing when people have a problem with their temper and stuff? What you call it?
Anger management.
Anger management.
Yeah.
They need to go through some anger management.
You need to go through some anger.
I do. Really. Okay.
But and then the flip side is so my old classmate Bernice Gibson said she used to live in the hills, and she said the drug activity is ridiculous. What can the neighborhood do to request patrol in the area? That's in if I'm not mistaken, that's in Presidential Hill.
Presidential Hill.
So that's Precinct 3.
Precinct 3.
Well, first you would call the precinct.
Call the precinct and request more patrol. I think that's the first thing you do. Okay, they're gonna tell you, well, we're gonna get somebody out there. Then we short the officer. He on the call right now. That beat officer, we're gonna send him, and he's gonna roll through about 50 miles an hour with his lights on, and then he's gonna go 10-8. Okay.
I didn't say that. You should.
I'm just saying that's how it normally worked. To be honest with you, that's how it worked. But call again. This is what citizens going to have to start doing. They're going to have to just and document. Flood and when you call, the calls are being recorded. You're gonna have to flood the calls, request, the call for service, and the squeaky wheel will get the
We
oil.
might not be able to get in.
Yeah, that's another issue. But the squeaky wheel does get the oil. I promise you, the squeaky wheel does get the oil. We're gonna have to do that, and I tell you, but the people, we're gonna have to just get together and take. And you know, I like your saying, take this city back. Uh, we really gonna have to take this city back because we're gonna have to treat our children in our community like the sakura trees, the redwood trees in California.
Oh yeah.
You remember? Let me tell you a story.
We'll have long story.
Okay, it's a short story. All the fires that's in California.
Yeah.
Not one.
Redwood tree.
You know
Big
why?
Tree.
No redwood tree got burned.
What?
No sequoia tree got burned.
What?
Because the people in that area, 2,000 people, got together with buckets and hose pipes and surrounded and protected the trees. So we're gonna have to do that with our children and our kids. I think children are way more important than a redwood tree or sakura.
So we shouldn't. So are you saying we should not listen to the people that we pay?
Yes, I think we should. We should listen to them. I mean, but we should hold them accountable.
We should hold them accountable.
We should hold them accountable. I think we shouldn't just take their word. That's what we've been doing.
Right.
We've been taking their word. Well, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Chief, Mr. Councilman, Mr. Congressman, Mr. Senator, can you? Yeah, I'll get right on it. I'll call you. Don't you call me? Okay. Right. But he said he gonna call me. I told the mayor. He said he's gonna do that, and we leave it there. We leave it right there. We leave it right there. And you can remember a conversation we had with the mayor and the CEO, and I said, and I wrote it down, Madam, Mister, you said this on this date. What happened?
What happened?
What happened? They kind of backpedal a little bit.
Nothing happened.
Nothing happened. Nothing happened. But you remember, nothing happened. But couple days later, I think it was the police department. They got they allowance for clothing allowance with the money from the so that happened.
Right.
But if I had not pressured them,
right,
nothing would have happened. Nothing would have happened. So we're gonna have to do little stuff like that. Just stay on, hold them accountable.
To their defense, oftentimes you get caught up in all kinds of stuff.
Oh yes,
right.
Yes, you got people coming to you everywhere. You got somebody down the street and saying that, no pun intended, but the house smell, water backing up in their house, right?
Don't say it.
So you got some very
like
I ain't say that. You said that. You got some very, important issues that's going on that they have to take care of. So that may slip their mind. Not that those drug dealers in your neighborhood not important. So I think
the constant pressing, Bernicia, and checking up, the squeaky wheel,
get the oil.
And anything else, if you can gather more people to call. If you want to call me and we can talk about it, or other stuff that you can do. And then the things that we can do ourselves. There's things that we can just do ourselves to help with that. And sometimes it's just simple as meeting the people. And I'm not saying go knock on the door, but when you see them outside, speak to them or whatever, and you get an opportunity, just talk to them, because they are human and they know what they're doing is wrong. And oftentimes these people have just grown up in that life. This is their life. Their parents did this, or since we dealt with kids in foster care for so long, I was shocked with my kids when we adopted them, what they did before we adopted them. So a lot of times this is just all they know. And unfortunately, nowadays, back when we were doing our really serious policing, you had a marijuana dealer and you had a crack dealer. Now you have somebody that have crack, guns, meth, morphine, heroin, ecstasy, codeine, guns. It's like a one-stop shop now. And so that's the biggest thing. And so these individuals are a lot different. They think differently. Usually the weed dealer is a lot of times just a dude to sell weed. You know, he might not have a gun on him. He just sells weed. He might even be in college for all we know. But nowadays, these other folks, man, they're just, it's a lot. It is a lot. Uh, she right, thinking to turn a blind line to the problem. This activity has been reported for years. That's true. But the biggest part now is it's so few police officers and so many drug dealers. It's so few police officers now and so many drug dealers. So it's just really, really a bad situation now. And I wish that I was here. I wish it was 1998. And we
I don't
pull
want
up
to go back.
when we
I'm
pull
just
up
telling
in
you, I
those
don't
cars,
want
you
to go
know. And most of the time when we got complaints like this, we would act on them immediately. I mean, we'd have roll call. When he and I were on
we
the
used to
street
love
level.
get complaints like this.
Yeah, when he and I were on the street level narcotics team, we would go straight there. It wasn't any wasting time. That's what we would do. And so now, but again, I'm going to go back. I go back to the apathy. People just are so blah about everything. Not just the citizens, but even the police officers, the dispatchers. Everybody is just down and out. Everybody just down, and so it's a domino effect. It's a domino effect, and if you have kids graduating out the academy, first of all, you don't have that many people taking the test. You know, when I first started, it was like 1,500 people, I think, or 1,100 people took the test. I didn't think I was ever going to get hired. Now you got like 50. And then you have like 10 people graduate from the academy. And then you'll have like 5 people, now from very good sources, 5 people will quit within the first year or two. I'm gone. I don't have to put up with this stuff. So again, it's a lot. And
But they got to stay 2 years now, I think.
No, they don't have to stay 2 years. The other department that hires them could just pay JPD the money back. Because the money comes from the state for the training academy.
Oh,
but a lot of these kids, some of these kids don't even need to be here. And I keep saying kids because they're really young.
Yeah.
So this is just a place where you come get a job now. This is not a place where you say you want to really help. There are some of the young people that really want to help. They are out here and they want to help. And the bad part about it is they see just how bad it is and how poorly led they are. And then they just leave. They just leave. You know, so it's great to hear we got 15 people in the class, but the question is, how many do we have a year later? That's the biggest question, and that's the fallacy of this whole thing. So uh, the reason why we call the show Between the Thin Blue Line is to talk about our experiences as police and to kind of shake up the system, because we know just with what we know how things should be run. We know how things should look, and it's not even close. If it was close, we wouldn't even be here. We wouldn't even be talking to you. But we realized, just not here, but throughout the country, we're being led astray. But the optics of people talking, the optics of what it looks like, and all the talking, you would think that we live in a city that's totally crime free almost. But that's not the case. I looked it up. I think there's 19,000 cities and townships in the country. And out of the 19,000 cities and townships, Jackson is number 2 per capita for homicides. Jackson is number 2 per capita.
You think you gonna directly blame the leadership?
I can't. I know not directly, but don't tell me it's raining when you peeing on my leg. That's my point.
Yeah.
You know.
You know me. I really believe, like I said 100 times before, and I know we over that I really, really believe, and by just knowing the chief and by just talking with the mayor, I really, really believe that they want better for Jackson. I believe that. I got to believe that one.
Okay.
My thing is, and I think, and I do whatever I can to help them. But my thing is, they are way in over their head. They don't know what to do next, and they are not accepting or open up to help because they think you're against them, or you trying to, you want something. That's what I'm thinking.
And I believe they do too. I don't think that they want the
really
worst
do.
for
I believe
Jackson.
the mayor loves the city.
Not even close.
And he want to make a legacy for himself, but I think he's way over his head. Chief Davis was handed this problem. It was a problem before he came into it, and he trying to make that same legacy that the mayor trying to make, or trying to make the mayor legacy. And you can't do that. You're gonna have to make your own legacy. You're gonna have to do your own thing. When politics and policing don't go together.
We always go past our hour, and I'm not going to cut us off because we talked about this, that I think it's really sad for the mayor's legacy right now to have the highest homicide rate from what I know.
It is.
From what I know about what his father, see, he brings up his father all the time, so I'm going to bring him up, but I'm not going to bring him up in a bad light. I don't have anything bad to say about him. But for whatever he did, and for all the people that follow him and love him, I've talked to so many people that have known him for so many years. Now, of course, I don't know him nowhere near like his son, but it's sad for that to turn out the way, for all this to turn out the way it is. And when he became mayor the first time, although I didn't vote for him, I sat back and I was like, well, maybe, this, whatever his father was trying to do is now going to happen.
Yeah.
And we're going to all sing. I'll tell you what, I'm going to tell you all y'all this secret. When I applied to be the chief the first time, when Antar's daddy Lumumba, no, it's a good secret. It's not a bad.
Okay.
It's not bad.
Okay.
He's negative.
I ain't negative.
It's not a secret.
Okay.
When I applied, it was a big panel. There was a bunch of people in the room, and I didn't vote for Mr. Lumumba. We supported Jonathan Lee. We had a group that said, this is who we believe could topple at the time Harvey Johnson. You remember that?
Right.
So
our goal was to get rid of
Right. And so we said, first it was Jonathan Lee, then the next person was Mr. Lumumba, right? Daddy, I'm just going to say Daddy Lumumba. And we interviewed all of them, right?
Right.
And we voted on that. Everybody voted. We had like 9 or 10 people vote. And so the group decided to support Jonathan Lee. And you know the story. Jonathan lost, and Mr. Lumumba became mayor. And then I applied for chief anyway. And in the room, when they were interviewing me, they asked me, why did I support Jonathan Lee? And I told them basically this story. And then I stopped and I said, but the question is not even that. The question is, how did you get so many people that don't ordinarily vote come out to vote? And Dr. Omari looked at me and kind of smiled, because what they did was grassroots. I remember seeing those people everywhere. Right. And so I said, can you mimic this? Those are gunshots. Yeah. Somebody shooting. That's happening all the time. This Sunday shooting. No.
That happen all the time, man.
Yes.
I need to get back to Terry.
We're totally numb to this.
Really?
He fired about 20 shots.
That's pretty close, Claude. That's like right outside.
It probably is.
Did you hear the gunshots?
I heard the gunshot.
My gun in the truck.
We don't live in. I got guns. But anyway,
I need to keep back.
We're going to keep talking.
Dog outside.
Don't act like you ain't never heard no gunshot. Stop being scared.
No.
This is South Jackson, man. Be quiet. Okay. So anyway.
South Afghanistan. Something.
South Afghanistan. Okay. So anyway, and that's what I truly wanted to know. But I wanted to know if they could mimic that, and how that could be mimicked with.
Also, they did. He had a lot of votes.
He did have a lot of votes. But my point is, how can we carry that over into everything?
But see what people got to, and I know we got to go. What people got to realize, and I think what you need to realize too, we are seeing a part of Jackson a lot of people don't get to see. For the most, and for those people that came out and voted, they think Antar doing a great job, which he probably is for them. We have to realize that. We need to realize that. But what we need to get those people to see, and even the mayor, Mayor Lamuma, to see and to understand that there's a part of some stuff going on in the city. I don't think he even astute of. I don't think so. I really don't. Because otherwise, to keep his legacy or to make him a better mayor, he would try to focus on those things. And that's what we're going to have to do, bring those things to his attention. And I think eventually, Kenny Stokes, and you can say what you want about Kenny, and Kenny, we can say whatever you want. Kenny sometimes act like he don't even work for the city.
Mm-hmm.
He sometimes act like he's just a regular citizen complaining. You remember how he just complained about what's going on? He make these policies too. Mm-hmm. But people don't see that. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? People right there with Kenny right there beside us, they don't realize this man right there on the panel every day. Mm-hmm. Every Tuesday, he on that same panel that you all complaining about. This is a city council mayor type government. So he have the ability to write bills, to write resolutions, to write amendments, to change a lot of this stuff. If he can only get the vote, he's not concerned about the vote. All he care that his people know he care. So it ain't what you know. People don't care what you know. They just need to know that you care, and that's why I can't get vote over and over.
That's a statement for the century. People don't care what you know. They just want to know that you care.
Know that you care. And Kenny let them know, man, I care. I care about you, man. I'll never forget the first encounter I had with Kenny back in 1992. He tried to stop the train from coming downtown at 5 o'clock. The federal train that's on a timeline. He knew. He went to law school. Kenny knew very well he couldn't stop that train. But those 40 people that was behind him was proud of him for trying. Mm-hmm. The mayor don't have that type of tenacity. He's in his own little world, behind his two gates out there, and I don't want to, I'm not going to beat up the mayor because I said, I think he want the city to be a better city. It just he in over his head. He don't know how, and he's not open to sound counsel. That's my thing. But James a good person. I have called James. So, Chief Davis. I have called Chief Davis. I would right now work with him in a heartbeat. That's why we started this thing, because we hoping somebody who can hear it, and if we say something that can help the city, it could get back to them and they can apply. That's why we started. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to start this whole podcast, or this whole Between the Thin Blue Lines, to try to help with crime, to assist, not to take away. And I don't want that image to be portrayed out there. I don't want nobody to think that's what we're doing. Mm-hmm. We are here to help Jackson be better. And whoever the powers at hand, the powers that be, I think if you know them, if we're saying something that you think that could help and you got a way to get it to them, please let them know there's a better way. First of all, police officers need training. You got it up here. Train. So what else? I mean,
if you out at 9, 10, 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning passing out these cars, right, in bad areas.
Right. So
I mean, we had
a counselor out there with us, though.
Who?
We had a councilman.
We had a councilman out there with us that we did not invite.
That was crazy. But see, there you go. There go the message. There go the messenger. Yeah. See, it's almost like Pony Express. There go the messenger. maybe it'll get back.
But we did invite the mayor.
We invited the mayor,
but he did not return.
I didn't, because I think his counsel or his advisor probably advised him otherwise. It probably wasn't the safest choice.
But then you said somebody so and so don't listen to sound counseling.
I know, but that wasn't sound. But it was probably come to safety. You know, either mayor, out there, and these folks got guns and stuff. You don't want to put them in that type of predicament.
Okay, I'm gonna be quiet.
No, you don't want to. Somebody, his counsel now, his advisor.
At least a yes or a no would have been sufficient.
Well, yeah, but
maybe who was asking.
Right. But anyway, I'm gonna stay off of it, man, because we just got to show a little love throughout the city, and that's how you know that you are doing God's will, when you can love people that you don't like, and you can work with people that you don't agree with. That's a real testament of your walk right there. You know that, don't you? Somebody say it's time to go.
No, but it is time to go. So I'm gonna post again the time and place that we'll be out again next week or this week, passing these cars out, and we're working on some other stuff. Get some folks in contact with some folks so we can do some other stuff, and just Jackson, America, keep your head up.
It's going to get better.
Yeah, it's going to get better.
If you breathing, if you woke up this morning, that's a sign that it's going to get better.
That's true.
That's how I look at it.
But you have to do something. You can't watch TV. You can't watch us. And I'm always going to say this, I'm always going to say it. If you sit and watch TV and watch the whole world burn and you ain't picking up not one bucket of water, then you might as well start the fire yourself. So I'm going to keep saying this now. So if you go to your maker and he can stand in front of you and he says, the guy that said that, he used to say it every week. And you're going to be standing there going, I don't think I heard him. I'm just saying that. So I could be wrong. What do I know? Right?
Right. You're right. You're right. I mean, you're definitely right. I don't know if you
maybe it's just me.
Know the equivalent of how right you are according to what God say do. But he do say love, and I just heard that tonight. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Continue to love your neighbor, no matter what. Love your neighbor. In order to do that, you're gonna have to go out and try to help your neighbor. You gotta go
talk to your neighbor.
You got to talk to your neighbor,
even if he got a chopper in his lap.
Even
That's
a whole nother thing too, because we need to change that. We need to try to interject, and we'll talk that when we get those guys back on. We're gonna try to interject God into this whole spectrum of these young kids, because I think, like I say, that's the only way it's gonna change. Their faith, their spirit gonna have to change. So, but I think I got some great ideas, and we'll talk about it next time on how to interject.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your comments. And be sure to share this podcast as well. We usually get about 100 or so views a week. So I'm going to get better. I'm going to get less busy and start posting some other stuff. I'm not the biggest poster, but I understand that content makes the world go round. So,
yeah, and we need to get the word out there, because I think we are having some great conversation.
Yeah.
And some of the things that we say can help, do make a little sense. Some of the things we say, and it can be a good solution if the right people could hear it. So, and that's our own intention. We are real people talking about real stuff.
Yeah.
And that we've been through.
And our problems are your problems.
So. Right. So we're not campaigning, we're not promoting, we're not doing anything. We're just having our normal conversation. Chloe and I have these conversations weekly, daily.
You just happen to be tuned into it.
On Sundays, but daily. And my wife could tell you all night long.
I don't talk to all night. I have a life. What's up, Terrell?
But I know some of the things we say do make some sense, and it can help. Okay.
All right.
Good night, everybody. Until next time.